Hi, boys and girls. I was wondering, have you ever watched the bigger kids and looked at some things that they were doing and really wished you could do them too? Maybe they were roller skating or riding a bike without training wheels or even popping a wheelie, and you really wished you could do it. Well, I'm going to read a story to you today, and it's about a caterpillar that was watching other things doing something that he really wanted to do. Our story today is called The Caterpillar's Lesson. Once upon a green field, there lived a very unhappy caterpillar named Freddie. Even though he was sad, Freddie had a terrific dream. His greatest wish in the whole world was that he would be able to fly. Freddie would just lie around every day, looking up at the insects, birds, and butterflies. He sighed, "Oh, how I wish I could fly." One day, while Freddie lay dreaming, he had a great idea. "I've got it," he said. "I'll make me some wings." He gathered some nails and boards and other necessary tools and worked very hard all day long. The next morning, Freddie got up very early. With his self-made wings in place, he crawled as fast as he could up to the top of the cliff. A cliff is like a hill. "Now I'll be able to fly," thought Freddie. He spread his homemade wings, got off to a good start, and took off the cliff. What do you think is going to happen to him? But splat! Just as you expected, Freddie landed right on top of his head. He was so embarrassed. Looking around, he hoped that none of his friends who could really fly were watching. Quickly, he cleaned up the mess. Feeling a bit dizzy, shaky, and disappointed, Freddie did not give up. Although his plan to fly had failed miserably, he still wondered, how do those other guys make it to the sky? Do you know how everything else can fly? What do they need to fly? Freddie dusted himself off, added a few bandages here and there, and said, "So what if I even have to use a crutch? I must not give up, and I must not forget my dream, because I want to fly more than anything in the whole world." While he was getting better, Freddie grabbed a How to Fly book off the shelf. Excitedly, he opened the book. On the very first page he read, "In order to fly, one must have wings." "Wings!" Freddie shouted. "I've already tried to make wings. It's just impossible. I'm just going to forget that stupid dream, 'cause I'll never learn how to fly. This old caterpillar self is all I'll ever be." How is Freddie feeling right now? Very disappointed and feeling very sad, Freddie decided to just crawl outside and run away. Feeling like a complete failure, he crawled upon the stem of a flower. "Goodbye, home," sobbed Freddie. Then all of a sudden, he started to spin. What do you think he's doing? Freddie spun and spun, layers of silk all over and around and on top of his old caterpillar self. "I'll just hide in this shell and stay here forever." Then I won't have to face any of my friends again. They'll never know that I couldn't learn how to fly. Yes, I'll just stay in here forever and ever." Days turned into weeks, but Freddie's forever didn't last long. Soon his little feet popped out. And what do you think happened? He stretched out his legs, and the rest of his body was free. Why, he was no longer crawling. He had wings. Freddie could fly. And where do you think the very first place his wings took him? Yes, he went right to that high cliff, the one from which he had fallen, and he shouted for all his friends to hear, "Look at me! I can fly! My dream has come true! It's really me, Freddie. Now I'm a gorgeous butterfly." In the story, Freddie really wanted to be able to fly when he was a caterpillar. Was he able to fly? No. What kind of things did he try to be able to fly? If you said that he tried to build some wings out of wood, and he tried to read a book about how to fly, you were right. But those things did not help, because Freddie really needed to have real wings to fly, and caterpillars don't have real wings. His body wasn't ready to fly yet. What kind of things do you want to do that bigger kids do? When you get bigger and your body's able to do more things, you'll be able to do some of those things that the big kids do too. Just like when Freddie turned into a butterfly and he was able to fly. My son used to collect some insects, and I wanted to show you some of them. Do you know what kind of insects I just showed you? If you said butterflies, you are partly right. Some of those insects are butterflies, but some of them are moths. Do you know how to tell the difference between the two? Well, they all start out as being a caterpillar. They might be different colors, they might be different sizes, they might be fuzzy, they might be smooth, they might be bumpy. But they all start out as caterpillars. Then when they change a little differently. Most butterflies shed their skin, and underneath they form a chrysalis. And this is what a chrysalis looks like. Most butterflies make chrysalis. And when that caterpillar is inside the chrysalis, he is working on changing to be a butterfly. But most moths spin a cocoon, and the cocoon might be different colors. This is a cocoon I have, and it's empty now. There's a little hole where the moth came out, but this is a cocoon, and a cocoon is spun. The caterpillar spins the cocoon around himself, just like you wrap a blanket around yourself. Then the butterfly emerges from the chrysalis, and the moth emerges from the cocoon. And here is what some of them might look like. Now, when you see them flying around, there are some ways to tell whether it is a butterfly or a moth. If it is a moth and it's taking a rest on a leaf or a flower, it's going to lay there with its wings flat, just like this. It's opened up and it's flat. That's what moths do. But when butterflies take a rest on a flower, they're going to put their wings together like this to rest. So they're not laying them flat, they're resting them with them together. Another way to tell the difference between a moth and a butterfly is that most moths fly at nighttime and most butterflies fly in the daytime. You can also tell the difference between a moth and a butterfly by looking at their antennae. The antennae on a moth look like feathers. And the antennae on the butterfly are straight lines with little bumps at the end. Butterflies are very pretty and come in lots of different colors and patterns. I found a book called The Butterfly Alphabet by Kjell Sandvid, and in this book he took some close-up pictures of lots of different kinds of butterflies, and he was able to find every alphabet letter, every A, B, C through Z letter on a butterfly's wings. It's really cool. I'm going to show you just a couple of these butterfly wings and their letters. Do you know what letter this is? If you said A, you're right. And what sound does that A make? It makes the sound ah. Good job. Okay, I'm going to show you what the whole butterfly looks like. And I'm going to have my pencil point to the part of the butterfly where this letter A is. It's really very tiny on the butterfly. This is just a close-up picture. Do you know what letter this is? If you said C, you're right. The letter C makes two sounds. Do you know both the sounds it makes? It makes the sound K for cat and S for city. Let's see if we can find the letter C on the butterfly's wings. My pencil will point to it for you. Do you know this letter? If you said I, you're right. The letter I makes a sound I for igloo or insect. Let's see if we can find it on the butterfly. We're going to look at one more letter in this book. Do you know what letter this is? If you said R, you're right. R makes the sound R for rabbit. Let's see if we can find the letter R on the butterfly's wings. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about caterpillars and butterflies. Now remember, when you are outside and you happen to see a caterpillar or butterfly, you can think back at Freddie and how he really wanted to do something, but he wasn't ready to do it until he got older and changed into a butterfly. And the same applies to you too. There might be some things you can't do now, but as you get older and with practice and getting bigger, you'll be able to do those things too.